panelists, esteemed panelists, Tommy Elst, who you already saw as a general manager of Sensata Technology Bulgaria, Sergei Selin, the plant manager director for Hanon Systems, and Delyan Kostov, director systems engineering and validation at Visteon, Bulgaria. Please, gentlemen, welcome on stage. Panelist as it was on my second page. We are nowhere without Georgi Atanasov, CEO of Starck Technology. Apologies for the delay in the presentation.
So, it's working. Press the button. Oh, it has to be red to work. Okay. So, first of all, thank you for joining me on this panel. Is all the numbers. It is something that we have to think, you have to think about them. And when, as one friend of mine said, it is time not for the big companies, it is time for the fastest companies. So it has to be fast to adapt. So I'm happy that we will have the opportunity to discuss more about what is going on the market. I will start with one question for the overview. It is about the EVs, electric vehicles. So when they show up, everybody was speaking about how environment friendly are they, how you can save a lot of fuel cost. You just buy and drive, and everything was okay with this, but we have still to compare them to the internal combustion engines. And did the EVs actually match those expectations? Where are we in this journey? Can we say that this is the new level, the new, let's say, change that came?
If you don't mind, colleagues, I will go first. To be very honest, I think this is a difficult question to answer because it will be region by region different, to be very honest. You see, first of all, that in US today, situation is completely different purely because of administration. You know, Trump administration is not in favor of electrification. So, you know, you see a switch again into, you know, combustion engines in general. China, on the other hand, is completely the opposite. Today, what is it? Every 6th or 7th vehicle out of 10 sold in China is a battery electrical vehicle. Then you have a portion of hybrid, and then you have a smaller portion of internal combustion left. So that train has left in China. That will not stop. China will be fully electrified over time. Bringing it into Europe, I think we have, honestly, the future ahead of us is electrified. Let me start with that. Or big part of the future ahead of us is electrified in general. I think the major issue within Europe has been inconsistency in terms of policy. I mean, we tried initially, let's say, to force it through subsidies. You know, yeah, the moment subsidies stop, sales stop. Then we try to, like Mr. Krieger highlighted earlier today, we try to push it, let's say, make it mandatory if you have a company vehicle, for example. But is that fair to do? No, because you put an additional burden purely on the industry, which is already, you know, going through tough times, let's say. So we need to find a more natural way to adapt, let's say, and within Europe, let's say, policies need to allow that in general. I think years ago, infrastructure was an issue in Europe. Is today infrastructure an issue? Not really, to be honest. Of course, the more you go to the west, the better the infrastructure will be, but let's be very honest, even in Bulgaria here, there is no issue whatsoever to find a charging station and so on. Issue still is total cost of ownership today. To buy an EV vehicle, battery electrical vehicle, is still more expensive than an internal combustion vehicle. So you come already to that immediate purchasing power. What can people afford now, today, not over lifetime type of discussion in general. And then another very valid point. Take a look to Western Europe today. Here in Bulgaria, with the current electricity prices, it's very affordable to drive with an electrical vehicle, especially when you can charge it at home. To be very honest, you don't need to stop at a charging station somewhere next to the highway. It's extremely affordable because, you know, the domestic market is still not regulated, not deregulated in general. But in most of the European countries today, electricity still comes with quite a significant cost, let's say. So combine that over a certain lifetime, 4 or 5 years. To be very honest, we're still in a situation that, yes, with scale, cost will come down, let's say. There needs to be a discussion clearly within Europe, how do we shift, let's say, taxation from fossil into energy, fossil away from electricity more into fossil to drive down the energy cost in general. And in the meantime, a more openness in terms of the policy, I would say, to allow different powertrains, let's say, and not only to say it needs to be electrified, otherwise nothing else.
Any other comments? Because I have some. For me, for example, because when I choose my newest vehicle, it is full hybrid. The dealership offered me a plug-in hybrid. I said, okay, the difference in the price was so big that for the lifespan of the vehicle that I expect to operate it 3 up to 5 years, I will not consume so much gasoline. So, but on the other hand, as a sales guy, okay, business consultant, for me, it is very important for the whole sector to try to get the price out of the equation. It's not easy, but you need just to have to put in a lot more additional factors that give advantage to the hybrids or full electric vehicles, because you need, the customers should stop comparing them because they should become Apple and peers. They should not be comparable because they should bring you different kind of experience. Well, it already does. Different kind of way of living and different purpose why to use one or the another. This is my, let's say, personal thoughts about this.
Yeah, I think it comes, I like what you said, Dimitar, because I really think it comes down to provide options to the people what fits to their living needs in the environment, in the place they live, and so on. And I think that's what we overestimated a little bit when we said, you know, I still remember even within the company 3 or 4 years ago, we were talking about, you know, if we would look to the statistics 3 or 4 years ago, what we were expecting, according to IHS data even, you know, what electrification today would be versus what the reality is today, it's significantly less. I think we overestimated the, how to say it, the adaptability of society, let's say, and underestimated a little bit the specific needs of our end customers. And on top of that, due to inconsistent policies, put a lot of doubts at the end consumer. What should I buy now, actually? I mean, if I buy today still a gasoline, can I sell it in 5 years from now? Yes or no? You know, a lot of doubts in general.
I would confirm your experience here. So first, as a difference, so Starck is a mid-sized company located in the northwest of Bulgaria with about 200 people, nothing to compare with all these big partners here having sitting in Sofia or in Plovdiv. But about 2 years ago in the company, we bought nearly in the same time 2 new cars for the logistic, for transportation, one standard gasoline and one fully electric. And that was really a decision by the management to install something with electric cars in the small town where the logistic people have been never sitting in electric car, not to speak about driving of electric car. The first months we needed to push them as a management to start to use the electrical car. Now, in the last months, they don't use the standard gasoline for the city trips, for the logistic facility maintenance. They prefer and they're waiting to start to use the electrical cars, also having fun, more likely, more, how to say, suitable. And that is not to comparing the cost of the car, but comparing the, how to say, for the people who are using the car, I will say that is the future.
Yeah, for sure there is not, let's say, close question with the yes or no, because we have to put our opinions and experience in it, and there's no only one, let's say, right solution. For you, I would be glad to hear all four of you, your opinion. What are the important factors which drive the choice to buy your next vehicle? So come with your personal, let's say, inspirations.
For me, if I buy electric car, the main criteria are design, quality, range, price, and cost of ownership. And if I want to buy traditional car, for me will be again design, quality, and driving experience and price. And in terms of driving experience, I pay attention to steering and chassis settings first. Second, I pay attention to coherent work of gearbox and engine. And third, acoustic comfort.
I started to laugh a little bit when you asked the question. I see even one of my colleagues is laughing with me. He knows what I'm talking about, sitting here in the room. Bought a vehicle a couple of months ago, doesn't matter which one. What I faced with the new vehicles is lack of reliability. So to be very honest, in the past when you bought a certain brand, you knew it's reliable, it's quality. You don't have the risk that you're stopping on the highway and you have to call, the spider to come to pick you up and to pull you back to the garage. I think honestly, lately, what is a big issue with European OEMs, I'm now talking about European OEMs specifically, is we went into the rat race to compete with China by reducing quality in general. And we saw that directly as steers. If I go back 5 years ago, compared to 10 years ago, what was the quality mindset within the automotive industry? It was different. 10 years ago, it was so strict and so on. We lost that at a certain moment. The result is visible, to be very honest, with what you buy today. If you will go to the statistics about reliability by OEM, you only see a declining trend at the moment, across the board. Yeah. And to be very honest, the European ones are even bangling below. It is changing though. I don't want to be negative. What today we see, if even a group like Stellantis, like Volkswagen, Mercedes, and so on, the push on quality is extreme because they realize if you want to pay a premium for a European brand, it needs to come with a premium on quality in general, and that's how I, as end consumer, also look at it in general.
I could just echo what Tommy said. For me, the quality and the reliability is the most important. And also, if we compare the price between, let's say, European car markets and also the car makers and also Chinese one, we see that European are more expensive. That's why our expectation is as well to receive more high quality product at the end. The second topic, which is very important, I think that colleagues didn't mention, is the driving experience inside also the cabin, how we feel, what are the services which we receive from the digital cockpit, which is extremely important. And you know, Visteon is exactly doing the products for the cockpit, so it is really important for me how you feel inside the car, and this is something which is changing with the time. What is how we perceive inside the cabin, because the car starts to give you services which are very convenient, and we can even work inside the car, receiving a lot of using AI and hopefully in the near future agentic AI in order to take also sometimes control and take decisions. How to drive, what to do, how to support you in a difficult situation. So I believe that this is also a significant reason when you choose one car or another, one market or another. So this is very important. And I believe that Europeans needs to catch up still what the Chinese at the moment exactly do in that area. So but we need to keep the quality on a top level, in my opinion.
If I look to your numbers here in the statistic, I tried to make some analysis for me, so very unprofessional, but it's likely to see what I have seen as of the lowest interest in software, in update, in functions, that was in Germany, UK, Japan. That the lowest number of electrical cars were in the same three countries. And for me, as an engineer with German education, it's pretty clear as people with mechanical mindset, with engineering, they want to have something standard, something mechanical. The software, the young people, maybe they want to have software and feeling, how to say, not to hear the motor, not to see the motor, they want to be driven, not to be drivers. So something like unprofessional experience, but also as a private here, living in the Sofia, downtown in Sofia, that's no chance to have electrical cars. It's, to be fair, yeah, as well as a charging station, as some other functions, you have to stay on the gasoline.
Thank you. So, as you saw, we have 5 people here. I'll tell my decision process of buying a new car. And we see 4 different points of view. For me, I'm buying a car for what I'm going to use it for. And for this reason, I'm trying to get the thing that will make the things done on the price that I can afford. Unfortunately, this is why I end up with 3 cars. Yeah, don't laugh at me. One is for the city. It is hybrid. Why it is hybrid and not fully electric? Just because I'm not sure that I have my phone charged for the morning. I don't want to rely, my whole family to rely on me for the car. And my second car is a big SUV. Why? Because family trips, going out of the city, you cannot use it in the city properly, but for the driving experience and to be reliable and safe, I prefer to be in the bigger car on the road. And my third car is a dedicated off-road vehicle. Because I'm an emergency rescuer, we have to save people in the mountains, we have to reach them, so I cannot use one or the other that I already have, so that's why I need to have a third car. Does it make it cheap? No. Does it make it, let's say, when it spoke about reliability, it was very interesting because I wanted to choose the most reliable car. And I had some brands in mind, and it wasn't one of them, unfortunately, because at the end, what you see, how the market is going, how the vehicles are going, really the quality issue is existing, and we have this quality issue. Because for me, some of the OEMs, they just rely on what is used to be. You know, it is us, European manufacturer, or American, or Japan, and the rest. We bring you the top quality, the latest technologies, etc., etc. But the world changed, so they have to shift their minds in this also. So I want to ask any of you one question, let's say personal question. Tommy, in your view, what distinguishes Sensata as an organization that helps the company remain competitive in this dynamic world? I heard your speech earlier. You give insights on this, but still there's a lot of challenges that you have to overcome as a company this big, because, you know, as I said earlier, the big is not the factor, the fast is a factor now.
Yeah, I think you say it absolutely correct. Size doesn't matter, to be very honest. It's all about the mindset of agility and flexibility in general. Look, today, there are three major things shifting. The end market is shifting. We already talked about internal combustion to electrification. Innovation is coming out of China, not out of Europe. Politics drive a lot of, how to say it, dynamics in general. We discussed already about US. You see what's going on in Europe, and you see what's happening in China. And on top of that, you have regional differences. Second major tendency that we see currently also is OEMs today more than ever are having decisions about what do we insource versus what do we outsource. That's also a major shift in general. Third, the supply chain is shifting, where in the past, let's say, you would have the typical, you know, system integrators together with the OEMs. You supply or directly to an OEM or to a system integrator. Today, you have an additional supply chain with the battery pack suppliers coming in. So what matters for us as a company? In order to be able to deal with those dynamics, it's all about customer intimacy. You need to be closely connected, let's say, to the leaders of today, but also the leaders of the future. What I want to say with that is, we don't have to step away from China. We need to be engaged also with them, to be very honest. And that's what we're doing. We are engaging, for example, with the KTL of the world in terms of battery pack suppliers. And our strategy then connected to that is, we are, how to say it, a fast adopter. What I want to say with that is, this is not that we're not innovative, no. But through the customer intimacy, let's say, really try to understand out of the first generations of vehicles now, take electrical vehicles, what went well, what didn't go well, what customers need to change, what is the overall system strategy forward-looking. And based on that, let's say, define our strategy against that. But to summarize it is, yes, it is only the way to change is make our people understand that what we have been doing till now is, I don't say not relevant, but we need to have a mindset that we need to be flexible, adaptable, and not play the victim role in situations like this, to be very honest. Yeah, China, China, China. Yes, China's there. Let's pick it up. Let's drive internally, let's say, the needed transformation. And that is really based on the culture. So we're heavy investing into that. And of course, the further you go down in the organization, the more difficult that becomes, let's say. So that's the major challenge for us in general. But yeah, it's really changing that culture and adapting in the background, let's say, the tools and the system to be much more flexible, faster, and AI-driven overall.
Thank you for this honest, actually, answer. For me also, we were fighting for globalization 20 years ago. We wanted to be global, to be united, to be able to reach the other part of the world easily. And now my feeling is that we are trying to build walls, to separate each other, to get close in his circle, and seeing others as fierce competitors, not as a partners. And maybe this is something that we also have to change. And yeah, we have separation. We have European markets, yeah, we have US manufacturers, we have Japan, we have Asia, we have China, which is a big factor, which is okay, but we have to search for the common, because at the end, users, you buy a car, they can afford, they like, they trust. It doesn't matter who is the manufacturer anymore. That's why you saw the numbers about the brand loyalty is still shifting. Again, I still have my own preferences, but Gen Z is changing this. They don't care about the history of how reliable was a car 25 years ago. They want to have it now. Okay, Delyan, one question to you. software is playing an increasingly important role in the vehicle. We saw some of the numbers for the software-defined vehicles, and it is getting more and more serious in the latest. I'm a bit scared about this. How is this transforming the development process, and what are the biggest challenges companies face today, especially those focused on?
Indeed, you're absolutely right. So this is what we're seeing also in the numbers. So actually, the software is completely changing. Let's say in my opinion, the automotive development from hardware-centric to the software-defined vehicle, which is continuously evolving with the time. So this is a big change. And people are not anymore, let's say, looking on the car, on the vehicle, just like a mechanical system, but they start to look at more like our smartphone, like a platform, digital platform, which combines in it HMI, connectivity, infotainment, ADAS, AI, so all displays, very big displays. So people would like to have the latest and greatest every time when they go into the car, and they're not just counting, let's say, the car for 2-3 years, as you said previously, but they would like to have their car for longer time, but just to receive the latest features in time. So this is a very big change which software is doing, and actually there are several changes which are happening. The first one is this shift to the software-defined vehicle, which means that the software is taking the control over most of the functions in the car, even the performance. Which means that we don't have these issues like before, which are working independently. But now we have centralized computing systems, zonal controllers, which are helping us to give more power to the software, to decouple software from the hardware. And in that case, software could take the advantage. They have this flexibility not to be so, let's say, coupled with the constraints of the hardware. So this gives a lot of possibility of the software, and of course there are a lot of changes also in the process of working. So what we experience on a daily basis, we cannot continue working in that linear V-cycle approach like before. So we become agile, DevOps are here, so we expect the type of work which we have on a daily basis is, let's say, with a regular integration, so continuous integration, a lot of deliveries, constant changes, which continue even after the start of production. And this is a mindset shift which we experience on a daily basis. So different challenges, as you said. So for me, the biggest challenge is the complexity, because with the software in the center, we could have a lot of quality difficulties. The software is taking the primary role, which means that we have a new architecture in the car, which is service-oriented architecture with middleware, which are working together. So we expect that all the functions are like services for the applications in the car, and to have all these services working together, most of the time they are provided by different suppliers, is really a big challenge. At the end, we would like to have a stable device, stable vehicle without defects. So we need a smooth integration of all these services together, and we would like this stability. The other challenge which we have, and I believe that we need really to catch up, we see it in all the companies, let's say, is the safety and cybersecurity. So we cannot compare now with consumer electronics, because automotive needs to be strict with the safety standard, and also having auto and having all the connectivity, cloud management, and so on. We are vulnerable on the different hacker attacks, which means that we need to have a very strict also cybersecurity. And also one challenge which is very important is the way how we are working. I believe that we cannot continue, let's say, to work in the old way, like OEM, Tier 1, Tier 2, and so on. What we need to change is this partnership and cooperation between the different groups, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. We will ask you the question about the auto cyber, if you have time, because for me, I'm one of my scares is that if I buy a fully software-defined vehicle, electric vehicle, somebody can hijack me. You know, we have seen the movies, lock the doors and drive somewhere. Yeah. Sergei, and the only software that I cared about 10 years ago was the remap for the ECU that I needed to make the engine, you know, bigger. So now if you don't have USB-C, it's a nightmare in the car. Okay, Sergei, one question for you about electrification, which is fundamentally changing how we perceive the cars itself. What is the most difficult for you, or the biggest challenges for Hanon systems today with these biggest changes that we are seeing, you know, in technologies, in softwares that we are using? They're changing, they're evolving. Nobody wants to see Windows crash, or please restart the vehicle to restart the system, you know.
You know, the biggest challenge is not about the technological things. It's about balancing financials. It's about delivering profit and cash flow that shareholders expect. Because eventually all operational decisions that we take on a weekly basis as operational managers, they will be reflected in P&L eventually. So if a company decides to reduce quality, then warranty cost will grow in 1-2 years, and it will also lead to volume drop, new business volume drop. So if company grows stock in order to protect from potential delays in transportation from Asia, then it requires high working capital, it requires larger cash and larger borrowings and high interest paid. So if a company in the transformation to electrification vehicles reduces headcount that performs launch management activities, and then a company may just stop the customer line in the worst case. And that would mean severe penalties, huge reputational loss, and again, loss of trust and new business volume drop. So that's the most difficult thing. So those are just some of the examples which I gave that are made by company management in a daily basis. So it's not that much about technology. Technology is indeed very important, but balancing everything on operational level, on some strategic tactical level, to deliver the financials, that's the biggest challenge.
Do you think that the investors are starting to understand you that the situation actually is not very great, and they have to adapt and not to expect, and to raise their expectation and to push for even bigger results? Because, for example, for Deloitte, the two biggest hot topics when you speak with customers are we want to get AI giving us money and saving us people, and the other topic is cost optimization. And yeah, well, it is a tool that you can use to survive for a little bit, but it's not the main driving factor for an organization. It's need to adapt, not just to cut, you know, costs.
I mean, as I said, you cannot just, I mean, if you cut something, it requires some prior thinking, what you will do next, what are the next steps after this, and what consequences you will have. And in terms of shareholder or investor expectations, that this is their right to expect some certain level of returns, and they can compare automotive companies with other sectors where they can put their money. So those expectations, they will not get lower, I believe. They will still keep high.
Well, for me, the expectations or the reality checks is more of point of view. For some, it's very pessimistic about the OEM and the European brands. For others, they're very optimistic because, for example, they think that the next Porsche should be very good on strength and defense capabilities because it's going to be a tank again. So who knows? This actually brings needs for adapting and adjusting to all the people in the tier 1, tier 2 manufacturers, because if they shift so abruptly, you have to adapt and be ready for this. No, like software for tanks, tanks but not tanks. So we'll see. Georgi, one question for you, being like a local company, you know, trying to compete with the big guys. Are we mature enough in Bulgaria to bring the AI in the manufacturing safely?
I would say there are a lot of startups or a lot of software companies supporting or developing AI tools or AI solutions, but in the same time, also having a look to the small companies, small production companies or services, they still don't understand what does it mean AI. That they think that is a computer with ChatGPT, or they think that is something software they can use for everything. So that is time needed for a lot of the people of the companies here, and it is also needed to have best practice sharing. So open, maybe free of charge, some projects and a lot of best practice sharing that small and medium-sized companies, they will understand what for benefit they can have with really AI tools or solutions, not with some, how to say in brackets, AI software programs. That is opinion from the, how to say, I was 3 years ago in a very big company, similar size, with a total different view to the AIs, to the software, but staying in the Northwest and having a lot of contacts. We supply to more than 20 or 30 customers in Bulgaria, which are smaller than us, as electronic manufacturing services, as a contract manufacturer. That is a very, very big gap between the bigger companies, producer or daughter companies of Western bigger producer and the normal business in Bulgaria.
Yeah, don't worry, in the West, it's still not mature yet enough. We have a lot of, let's say, partners, customers that we help them to adopt and to migrate and to get the good stuff from investing in AI. It's not an easy journey to get where you want to go. Some try to sacrifice people and substitute them with AI. And I asked one developer, okay, you don't need juniors anymore. In 10 years, where are you gonna find seniors if you don't train your juniors? You know, AI helps, but it's not a substitution. Well, at least for me. I'll be glad if you have some questions from the audience. So not to think that it's very scripted and they know all the questions that I'm asking them. So to put some pressure on the panelists. So if anybody has some question related to our topics, I'll be glad to hear it. No? Everything is clear? I know that my panelist is one of the best on the market. So, but yeah, I'm surprised nobody wants to ask you tricky questions. Okay. I want to get a bit deeper. Delyan mentioned it about can we start speaking for auto cyber? It's not a hot topic. We can hear for what kind of cybers, you know, AI cyber, shadow IT cyber, and cyber something else, but nobody's speaking, or at least I didn't notice publicly about the auto cyber. And what are the most, let's say, dangerous things that can happen, or what are you doing personally, especially those that making sensor or kind of software regarding this cyber threats? Because for me, they're real, especially for sharing data, connecting devices. Lately, I saw in the news that all the US delegation that went to China, when they came back, they had to throw all the electronic devices that they received as gifts away because, you know, somebody can spy on them.
Yeah, maybe you're absolutely right. And this is also very dangerous also for our personal data, because being inside the car with so many sensors, cameras, and microphones, I mean, all the information which we share, our driving experience, our what we're doing inside the car, everything could become very easy stolen and used against us. So that's why the first important thing is the education. I believe that the companies needs to adapt very fast on the cybersecurity, if not, but I believe that even they are spent a lot of time in that, we need to spend even more, because we still don't know all the possibilities which and all the cyber attacks which could exist and how to prevent them. That's why the education of the people and having a strong cybersecurity teams inside the organization or paying outside is very important in order to have all possible, let's say, security for the people inside the car, also for the car manufacturers. So we need to save both, to secure both groups, actually. So this is really important, and for me these are the two topics which we need to do: education and specialized teams who take care about cybersecurity. It should be on the level of functional safety. I cannot say that because usually at the moment in the vehicles we spend more time on the functional safety. We have more strict regulations, standards, and audits. So we need to make absolutely the same for the cybersecurity. This is my opinion.
I'm far from the cybersecurity expert here.
Well, you're a user, so you're in the game anyway. If you notice the numbers, it was very interesting. There was a slide, especially for the sensitive data, how the consumers feel about this, and the lowest percentage of concerned people was in China. I think they get used to be observed, you know. So this was funny. And one of the biggest percentages is that somebody in Western Europe, that somebody can use the inside the car cameras to see who is there, etc., etc. So, you know, this is the way of thinking. And this. So I really would like to thank my panelists. I think actually it is a very good discussion. It's a hot topic now, and it is hot topic for the last 5 years. One number also that to share with you, that this boom of sales for EVs in China will end up in 2028-9, and then will go down, which is actually surprised me, because I expected to reach 60-70% of only EVs in China. But obviously, according to our analyst, it won't. So this is the boom now, and then 28, 29, and then in 2030 they should go down, if we don't see some technological breakthrough in batteries or hydrogen or another kind of fuel. I don't know.
So in this case, our colleagues in China will have to experience similar challenges that we have experienced here in Europe in the last 4 years, when the future seemed to be very bright. The volumes from OEMs showed a very fast adoption of EVs. We were ready to go full scope, and then we had to become very agile.
Let's thank our panelists for the discussion.